good as you get. Everything else is as flat as a shit carter's hat. And we've got something pretty special planned. Oh geez, it's electric. Well, good morning. An interesting looking morning it is too. So yesterday we had a top temperature of about 38 degrees. I'm not sure we'll get there today, but it was damn hot. But maybe that's normal for this part of the world. So we're in South Australia. We've just passed Kimber, a few k's back, which is considered halfway across Australia, halfway between the east and west coast. We're at a place called JOURNi, South Australia, on the coast. The beach is just over the back there. Billy's boiling away here. Got some water on for the thermos. The crew's just packing up. It's not just the lad and myself this time. And we've got something pretty special planned. We'll talk a bit more about that later on. So where we're going, we want a bit of protection. Starting off on a good note, cup of tea and a muffin. Dave was just going to come in and say a few words. Best way to start a trip off, a good cup of tea and a muffin with homemade marmalade jam. Perfect. That's not marmalade jam. Cup of tea, muffin with homemade marmalade. Perfect. Onto the gravel. No, that's not quite right. The bitumen has stopped, the gravel road has started. So this is the southern end, or the approach, the southern approach to Googs Track. Now, it's been a long time coming. We talked about this probably 12 months ago, thereabouts. Let's go and have a look at Googs Track. So here we are. So, got another car with us this time, a couple of fellas, a couple of mates, Dave and Gary, and the lad There's a lizard. Fair bit of effort going into keeping this fence maintained, or constructed in the first place, but then to maintain it. This is a top quality fence. Somebody spent a few bucks, no doubt the government. This is the dog fence, the dingo fence. Oh geez, it's electric. Should have a sign on it saying that, shouldn't they? So by all accounts, it's the longest man-made structure in the world. It goes from the coast just out there west of JOURNi all the way through up into Queensland. So we're on the wrong side of it now. We're in the dingo country. It was built to keep the wild dogs, dingoes, out of the pastoral country to the south. There's a lot of work going in it, and there's tracks running all the way along it, but they're management vehicles only, no public access along the fence. So, that's fair enough. If this is your work site, you want it to be in as good and safe a nick as possible. Don't want us tearing it up and making hard work of it for you.
Got a two-tongue weight from my hairline to my backbone, and it's dragging me around, but I don't listen. All your critics are red. Mind your own business. That's right. And run red lights. Now watch me fly.
Certainly changed, not dramatically really. So we've gone from traversing through that sort of mulga scrub over top to now it's all stunted, open, and also sand dunes are far more frequent. Pretty consistent basically, up and down, up and down, up and down. Corrugations are pretty bad. I suspect most people aren't air and down. That's traditionally why you get corrugations. Wrong tire pressures.
To my right, we're going down. Hit the road, Jack, won't come back, no. You can tie me. This was on me.
Turned off the main track, heading in on this track that looks like it's only K, if that, into a rock hole. So we'll go in and poke around there. The track's certainly reduced size, but we'll poke in and have a look. I think we're in the car park now, so we'll have to go for a wander, I think. See what we can find. How's this? We're out in the middle of the desert here, and there's this, well, I'm going to call it granite bedrock. There's a couple of rock holes in it holding water. You got to drink something there, do you?
What's that, 60 centimetres?
What's that in imperial for the old timers?
24 inches?
How many feet?
Two.
You can see how popular it is with the wildlife. There's no shortage of dung everywhere from multiple different sources, multiple suppliers. This would have been a pretty significant spot in its day, and look, no doubt it still is. And if you were out here desperate, spots like this could make all the difference between toes up or getting through. But it's about how do you know they're here in the first place. I suppose you've got to follow animal tracks. They will all lead to water. This is cool. This is real cool. In June 1973, John Denton, or Goog as he was known, commenced pushing in a track from his property Lone Oak towards Tarcoola on the Transcontinental Railway. Goog believed the trafficable link between JOURNi in the south to the railway line at Tarcoola in the north would be of considerable value to the district. Goog believed the only way such a vision would be realised was he would have to construct the road himself with the help of family and friends. Goog spent the next 3 years pushing in the new track, finally in August 1976 linking up with a previously blazed track from the north. A Fordson tractor fitted with a blade was initially used until the going got a bit tough. A dozer was then deployed, and finally a grader gave the track some polish. Multiple four-wheel drive vehicles were cobbled together from scavenged parts to enable the family to tag along and clear the debris from the road and carry the supplies required for such an ambitious project. These plaques and the infamous money tree pay homage to Goog and his team and tell the tale of construction and life in the desert. Leaving the memorials behind, we trekked a short distance to Googs Lake. Cresting the final dune, we get our first glimpse of the hidden lake, albeit dry at the moment, and I suspect dry more often than not. We set up camp on one of the numerous designated sites overlooking Googs Lake. Look at that, that's as good as you get. The other thing about that, the bloke that's good at getting that happens to be here preheating his pot, although I think it's getting a fair bit of heat in his pot. But the guy that knows all about good firewood is now cooking on good firewood. He's also clever because he's got someone else splitting it and someone else carted it in here for him. That's pretty clever, I reckon. That's it, look at that. That's ironbark, perfectly dry, as good as he gets. There's a bit of red gum there. Split it up a bit smaller, you get the coals out of it a lot quicker. So we've bought all our own firewood in. Places like this are pretty sensitive to firewood gathering. They just couldn't tolerate it really, so it's better for the place and it's easier and you don't have to go and collect it. And it is quite bloody hot at the moment. We're all sort of trying to find some shade. It's good wood, awesome wood. And it looks after the place. Places like this have got to be looked after because this is pretty special. This is actually amazing.
don't have to go too far out there before it starts getting spongy.
Yeah, you'd have to be pretty keen to stray too far out there, I think. You can see where there's been, you know, there's some darker areas where obviously hold a bit more moisture. Some of this higher ground obviously drains out quicker and dries out. We're getting a bit of a treat tonight. Dave's cooking us a feed. Before we left on this trip, he said, you cook some meals, we'll cook some meals, and we don't know what each other's cooking. But now that I've seen what Dave's cooking, I feel like we're probably going to be eating roast for a week, based on what we got in our fridge. We might have doubled up. Anyway, this is awesome. This is actually pretty novel, having someone else cook. Dave and I did a trip last year, and we're introduced to the concept of someone else catering and doing all the cooking, and I think we got a bit spoiled. And big brother, thumbs up. But, anyway, Dave's cooking the spread tonight, and Gary's keeping a watch on it, make sure proceedings are going to plan. Tomorrow night I suspect it's going to be the lads' turn. If this tastes anything like it smells, it's going to be an awesome meal. And with a setting like this, doesn't get any better. That wind's actually dying out a little bit. Very pleasant now. The sun's only a centimetre off the horizon. Good tucker, good location, good company. What more can we ask for?
Shit beer.
Shit beer, apparently.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. All the good times just begun. We know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.
It's fascinating how things work. We were planning on watching the sunrise over the lake this morning, and just as the sun was about to rise, the fog came in, engulfed us in fog. So we didn't get the sunrise, but I suppose we got something a little bit unusual. I guess it's to do with the lake being low and all the cold air sort of settles in there. Everything's sodden wet, the canvas and all the swags and everything, they're soaked, so probably not going to dry out this morning before we head off, so we'll have to pull up a bit earlier tonight and try and get a bit of sun on them. This is a great spot here. There's multiple campsites along this ridge line that overlook the lake, Googs Lake, and we wandered around having a bit of a look, and there's not too many people around, so we're fortunate we could sort of take the pick of where we wanted. But yeah, there's, I don't know, half a dozen of these campsites spread along the ridge line through here, all sort of looking east. I use boiling hot water for the dishes. It does a bit of sterilising. Boiling water certainly cleans the dishes a lot easier. You soon know about it if you stick your fingers in there. The other good thing about the boiling hot water is it tends to evaporate off, and you don't have to do so much drying. Ooh. Too hot.
You and I can weather any storm.
We left Googs Lake this morning, and it was pretty early actually. We got away at a good time, and we're just poking along. The dunes are similar to yesterday's, just meandering. Probably starting to get a little bit bigger north of Googs Lake. We're having no issues until that point, so rather than get caught out, decided to stop and drop a bit more air out of the tyres. And while we're doing that, a couple of vehicles passed us, which is cool. What we noticed is, is the very next dune was chopped out big time, and I actually couldn't get up it. I tried, and the pressures and everything that I was running, I couldn't do it. The holes were just too big. I tried the tractor effect, which is what I usually do. Just low, slow, just wander up. That way, you know, the car can move with the holes. Don't get thrown around. Easier on the car. But once I lost momentum, that was it. It's all over. I tried the usual, of course, lower range, diff locks, just tried to grind my way up, but look, you're just chopping out the track, and that's not ideal. So I backed down and let some more air out of the tyres, and was able to just wander up then. So I'm down to about 18 in the front and 22 in the back. Gives me about the same footprint, 4 psi difference. But I noticed from there on that the dunes were just chopped out, so we've just got to use a bit more momentum, and I mean, I could keep taking air out of the tyres, but probably got a pretty good compromise. But look, it only takes a couple of vehicles to chop the tracks out, and it makes it hard for everyone else. So yeah, just get those pressures down, I guess, is the moral of the story, and just take your time, and we don't have to bust the boiler. These are fair chopped out. I have to go just full tractor mode, otherwise I'll just get thrown around big time. So I've just dropped in the rear diff lock just to compensate for that wheel travel. The cameraman's getting thrown around all over the cab, but no, they're just huge holes. So yeah, just full tractor mode, first gear, all up them. The odd one catches me out and I've got to back down and have another go just to get a little bit more momentum up there. If you go too hard at them, I feel like it's just knocking the vehicle around, and yeah, not ideal. Look at this. Wouldn't want to roll your swag out in the wrong spot. You'd be devoured in no time, I reckon. They appear to be a little bit angry as well. I better get moving. I think I'm getting eaten alive here. Dunes through this section, although they're a bit smaller, they're quite tight, close together. So you're sort of just rolling from one to the next to the next. There's barely any swale between them. And here's another one. This looks chopped out.
Say hey, hey, forth and back, and just like that you're going down for heaven's gate. I gotta tell it to me right, we're going
wandering along here and thinking to myself, it reminds me of something. I've heard reference that Googs Track is a mini Simpson desert, and now that I've been here, I was sort of thinking about that, and actually I probably would suggest that it's more of a mini canning stock route, particularly with all this vegetation. That's probably what makes it the similarity to the canning stock route, but also the dunes. They're certainly not as big as the Simpson, it's no surprise, but they're more, in my mind, and from my experience having been on the canning, even the dunes are very similar to the canning stock route. Anyway, whatever it is, it's a bloody ripper. It's a fantastic track, slow going, and you certainly can't rush through here. Some vehicles in front have certainly chopped it up this morning in front of us, and as the temperature of the day increases, it's up to 30 degrees now. You certainly notice that sand dunes softening up and just being a little bit more challenging, so after lunch, just a little bit more effort required, a bit more concentration required too, I think. Just mounted this high point here, and we've got Mount Fink behind us, and just out this way we've got Little Mount Fink, but a bit of a high point here, a bit of a saddle between the two, you might say. The track comes pretty much right across this high point here. If we swing around and have a look, we've just been the last 2 days travelling right across this country here, dune after dune after dune. It's probably the first time we've actually had a vantage point. You can actually see what's coming and what's behind. This is a pretty good spot here. It's about 2 o'clock, a bit after 2 o'clock, 30 degrees Celsius. It's a bit of a breeze, a bit of a southerly actually, so probably keeping the temperatures down a little bit, coming off the coast. We've probably been hanging out for this view actually, it's awesome. Wee! Look at that. I'll have to check the map when we get back to the car, but I think that's a couple of, yeah, that's about 200 metres vertical from down where the flat country is there to here, the top of, well, we're not on the top of Mount Fink.
It's just over there, but there's a mighty big down and a mighty big up between here and there. We'll call this the false summit. This is pretty specky. Here, all alone, no one else around. Oh, apart from these fellas. It's just so abrupt. From this point, everything else is as flat as a shit carter's hat. And this just sits up here on its own. No, there's nothing else. Mount Fink, another peak bagged. Bit of a treat tonight, bit of an experiment. We're trying the Harry Fisher method of chip cooking. What's he call it? Cold frying?
Yep.
Cold frying. Hopefully I got that right. So if you haven't seen Harry's method, fire to fork, check it out. But we take a bit of inspiration from Harry's methods. We don't normally experiment on other people, but tonight we are. Anyway, yeah, bit of a treat. We haven't revealed all just yet, other than chips and probably some local caught barramundi, or not.
Being an old chip cooker from way back, Dave was a bit sceptical on our cold fried chips, and as it turned out, the burger on the side happened to be the hero piece of the meal. I think it's fair to say, if it wasn't for the burger, we might have bombed out on this meal. The chips turned out to be pretty bloody soggy.
Well, we've all but packed up our camp this morning. It's pretty early. It's only called 8, so that's not too bad going. It's very good going, really. Mount Fink out there behind me. We ducked up there yesterday. It's actually not the main summit. The main summit's back further. It's got a trig point on it, and I think there's a track that goes around to the side here that you can access it from the south. But you get a fantastic view from up there. It was awesome. Just as the late afternoon sun was getting low in the sky. So we had a nice night last night. We've been doing this bit of alternating cooking. Dave and Gary cooking one night and the lad and myself cooking the next night. So it was our turn last night, so we just whipped up a few burgers and cold fried chips, and no one's cooked this morning, so that's a pretty good sign that couldn't have been too bad. This Mount Fink campsite's a good spot. We didn't film too much of it. It's just the campsite in the bush and amongst the she oaks. It's yeah, a great spot actually. Plenty of shade if that's what you need. One thing that's caught me attention, pretty much this whole Googs Track, there's a few formal campsites, lots of informal campsites. But one of the things that's caught me attention is the lack of rubbish. Now, that stands out. But yeah, there's really bugger all rubbish. That's fantastic. No shortage of fire scars where people had fires, but look, it is this sort of terrain where there's an abundance of wood, and that's evident that some of the fire scars are bloody almost mountains in their own right. Give Mount Fink a run for its money. The plan for today, saddle up. I think we're just about all packed up. Dave's putting a bit of juice into the tank. Lad's packing up the last of our kit. Then we'll hit the Frog and Toad.
Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know, if I will ever figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down. from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And I really wanna know, if I never figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, the sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, yeah. The sky is falling down.
I'll try a little bit of rear diff lock for this one. I was just watching Dave in front and he was off the ground, airborne at times. This is chopped out big time, so we'll just tractor it up. I'm in half range, first gear, centre diff lock obviously, rear diff lock. I'm just gonna walk it up. We'll wallow. Woo, woo. This is chopped out big time. There's a crew just in front of us towing trailers. Could hear them on the radio earlier. They were challenged. Oh, don't get seasick. Yeah, just slowly. The next one looks the same. I've got no traction issues. It's just keeping the wheels on the ground. According to the HEMO, we're almost at the end of the track. But it's just deteriorated big time. The Trans-Australian Railway line just here behind us, and that officially marks the end of Googs Track. Bit of new country, never been out to Googs Track before. Poked around a bit to the west and I've poked around a bit to the east and certainly a lot to the north, but a bit of country here which is all new territory for us. It's been awesome. It's only a couple of days, you know, it's not necessarily an easy couple of days. You know, you've got to keep your wits about you, got to keep your eye on the ball. It's a bit technical in places, windy, weavy, up and down. Some of those dunes can catch you out if you're not careful, and clearly they do catch people out, and we probably got caught out once or twice as well. Some bloody big holes there being cut up. Good bit of country, awesome bit of country, lovely bush, great camping. There's no water from one end to the other. Yeah, I'm not sure, it's about 150, 160 k's between the gates if you like. Anyway, that was awesome. Thanks for coming along. Hope you enjoyed it. We certainly appreciate your company. I think the young bloke ran half the track, or certainly walked half the track up and down the dunes with the camera. He does an awesome job doing that. Saves me a lot of hard work. Anyway, we'll park it up there. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, if you like what we're doing, hit the subscribe button. By all accounts, most people that are watching aren't subscribed, so maybe hit the subscribe button. Share amongst your networks. Apparently that helps the channel. It's an emerging channel, and if we can get the name, the brand out there, that'd be awesome. And yeah, give us a thumbs up if you like it. Leave a comment down below, and we try and respond to all the comments. Anyway, until next time, we'll see you around. And don't forget, look after yourself.